Hello and welcome to another edition of Conspirator Rocks Pull List. This is my pull list for the week of January 4th, 2017. Happy New Year, everybody. Hopefully you had a great New Year. You celebrated with family, friends, on your own, out and about, whatever. But as long as you had a safe holiday weekend, that's what really matters, and that you had a good time. I personally had hung out with my kids. They went to bed at around 10. I stayed up till about midnight, or I stayed up late, but around midnight I went outside, had a cigarette, and at midnight all I heard was fireworks going off, car alarms, and people screaming. So it almost felt like Civil War II was happening. So interesting way to start the new year. But you're not here for all that. You're here for my pull list. So fairly small week. I did get a fair amount of books this week, but overall, compared to last week, this is not a very big week. So let's get right into it. First up, we have The Adventures of Archer and Armstrong, number 11. Yeah, this cover I have no idea what's going on. But I've been enjoying Archer and Armstrong so far, a lot more than the first story arc, so I'm glad I stuck with it. Next up, we have Aquaman number 14. A little behind on Aquaman, so I got to get caught up. But we have the Aquamarines in this one, so I'm curious to see what that's all about. Next up, we have a new story arc for Batman, and that's Rooftops, Part 1. Looks like the Cat and the Bat are going to be at it in this one. I have not yet finished I Am Suicide. I'm hoping to finish that soon, but as of this week, I'm about 3 weeks behind on my reading. Holidays are very hard for me to kind of read. I don't have the time I normally do when I'm at work, so hopefully I'll get caught up this week and next week. Next up, we have DC Comics Bombshells, number 21. Yep, number 21. I'm still getting it. It's still okay. It's not necessarily the best reading, but it is fine enough. Next up, we have Death of Hawkman, number 4 of 6. I've really enjoyed this series so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the second half of it goes. Next up is a purchase for my daughter, and that's Disney Princess number 8. We don't read it in this format because I don't like reading comics sideways, but hopefully they'll release the little comic strip version of the next batch of issues. So next up, we have Ever After number 5. Really been enjoying this Fables spin-off book. Really cool stuff. I'm curious to see if they actually get the little girl, because she's fucking powerful. Next up, we have Faith number 7 with an homage to the World War II We Can Do It women working in industry. I know what it is. I just don't know the specifics. But I love Faith. It's a great book. Really, really enjoy that title. Next up is a new one from DC for miniseries, and that's The Fall and Rise of Captain Atom. I really like the Captain Atom from the 52 stuff. Had one of the best issues I've read in a while for one of the single issues. Really enjoyed it. But I'm curious to see where they take Captain Atom in this rebirth stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Next up is a great title, and it's The Flintstones number 7. Looks like aliens are coming down or checking us out and seeing what's going on, so I'm curious to see what that's all about. Flintstones has just been an amazing book. I know a lot of people who've missed out on earlier issues are chomping at the bits to get a trade, so hopefully that's out fairly soon. Next up, we have Green Arrow number 14. Looks like we're continuing the Emerald Outlaw story arc. Again, I'm a little behind on a couple of these titles, so I need to get caught up. Next up, Green Lanterns 14. We're still pursuing the Phantom Lantern, so we shall see what goes on with that. The Phantom Lantern is a curious idea, and I've enjoyed it so far, so we'll see where it goes. Next up, we have a new story arc for Harley Quinn, and that's Joker Loves Harley. This is for issue number 11 for Harley Quinn. We've talked about it on the Comic Conspiracy podcast, how we're kind of tired of Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti on Harley Quinn. I'm a little burnt out on it. I think that they do a great job with Harley Quinn, but I'd like to see different creative teams try and tackle Harley Quinn and give us some Harley Quinn stories. But I'm excited to read it, so yeah. Next up, we have Justice League number 12. It is a Justice League versus Suicide Squad tie-in, and yes, that is Maxwell Lord. I did get a chance to read Justice League vs. Suicide Squad 1 and 2, and they were awesome, so I can't wait to dive into that tie-in issue, as well as Justice League vs. Suicide Squad and number 3 that's out this week. Really, really good, fun stuff, so yeah. Next up, we have a couple new Rebirth titles. These are the Rebirth one-shots for the Justice League of America that's coming out, and this is for Justice League of America, The Atom. This is the Rebirth issue for that, so I'm really curious to see where we go with The Atom. We saw him in DC Universe Rebirth, but we haven't really seen him since, so I'm curious to see where they take that one. Next up is the fixed copy of Saga. So if you saw my video last week, I had Saga and it was pretty much all blacked out. This is the actual version you want to get. So if a copy at your shop does not look like this, it looks much darker, they shouldn't be selling those, and those should be destroyed. So you want to get this version of it. But it's Saga, it's awesome. And last up on my pull list is Superman number 14, Multiplicity, Part 1. I'm really curious to see where this goes because it seems to come out of Final Crisis and Multiversity. So, yeah, we shall see. I did pick up some variant covers, or a fair amount of the variant covers that were out this week. I got the Aquaman 14 variant right there. Pretty cool stuff. I also picked up the variant for the Fall and Rise of Captain Atom. I thought it was pretty cool. Next up we have the Flintstones number 7 variant. So I snagged that one up. Green Lanterns had a very telling variant, so it appears that Jessica puts on the Phantom Ring, maybe? Who knows? Next up we have the Harley number 11 Frank Cho variant. Apparently coloring Cho's work is not what we want to do. I don't know why. It looks like it needs color. Next up we have Yannicka Paquette's Justice League variant for number 12. I've been snagging those up, like those. Next up we have Amanda Connor's variant for Justice League vs. Suicide Squad number 3. There's Harley facing off against a Wonder Woman. And with that theme in mind, we actually have a Joe Mad variant cover for Justice League vs. Suicide Squad number 3. So all you Joe Mad fans can go try and scramble and pick that up. The Justice League Atom Rebirth issue had a variant cover, so I went and picked that one up. And finally, on the list of variants was the Superman 14 variant. So it looks like the current Superman is carrying the Red Sun Superman. So I'm really curious to see what that entails. So yeah, so pretty sizable amount of books that I took home this week from the shop. I want to let you guys know that the DC trades for the Rebirth stuff are starting to come out. This week, Superman Volume 1 and Green Arrow Volume 1 are out. I highly recommend you grab Superman Volume 1 because it is amazing. Green Arrow is good as well. So if you miss the bus with the early issues of these Rebirth titles, they're starting to come out in trades, so you can pick those up. But I highly recommend grabbing those if you have not yet checked out Green Arrow or Superman. I myself didn't grab any new trades this week, but my first purchase this year for graphic novels was the Star Wars Darth Vader hardcover for Volume 1. We finally got it back in stock, so this was my first purchase of the year for graphic novels, so super excited. So thank you for waiting. Now we have the read list. These are the titles I take home to read to stay caught up and so on and so forth on other books that I don't necessarily want to buy. And the first up is Avengers number 3. We'll see what goes on with the Avengers. I don't know if I'm going to continue with Avengers. Kang is the first bad guy, and that just repeats kind of what was a couple volumes ago of Avengers. I'm really kind of disappointed that Marvel hasn't gone back to their core characters, the core Avengers team, the core X-Men team, Fantastic Four, all of these characters and these teams that define what Marvel is. They've seemed to they're so far away from that right now, and I think that's really hurting Marvel overall. Next up, we have a really great title, though. That's Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight. This is Moon Knight number 10. This starts the first issue of the death and birth story arc. Marvel has started to do this number 1 in the corner, which is mildly annoying because it goes, oh, look, it's a number 1. No, it's not. It's issue 10. So, yeah. I don't mind telling us it's the new part of a story arc. I know Dark Horse did it for Star Wars books back in the day. They had 1 of 6 for the story arc, but the actual number of the comic on the title. So I really I like that format a lot better than the let's bold and make so big this number 1, but it's not a number 1. Next up is another Lemire book that's amazing, and that's Old Man Logan number 16. We have Sorrentino back on art and a new story, starting. So curious to see where Lemire takes the Old Man Logan. This is actually a number 1 from Marvel, and that is The Unstoppable Wasp. I'm curious to see how this book pans out. I kind of want it to fall in line with Astonishing Ant-Man, but we shall see. Next up, we have The Unworthy Thor number 3. Jason Aaron's been doing an amazing job with The Mighty Thor and now The Unworthy Thor. So I can't wait to dive into that one. Thor is one of those books that I'm really excited for the omnibus collections of those. Hopefully they put those out. And then finally another one, number 1 from Marvel, and that is U.S. Avengers number 1. There's a bunch of variant covers on this. There's 1 cover for every state, kind of like Justice League of America had for that 14-issue run of Justice League after the New 52. So we did not get any of those variants. Maybe your store did, but yeah. So that's pretty much it for the pull list. This is my first video of the year, so it's nice to be back at it. We had a little delay last week, so things were off into the last part of 2016, but now we're back and I'm raring to go. Again, hopefully this year I can get more content up for you guys, more statue box openings, so on and so forth, and just basically have some more content here. I am probably going to start doing information videos or kind of PSA videos, so stay tuned for those. But yeah, we just finished recording the Comic Conspiracy episode number 292 this evening. You can check that out at www.geekbox.com. A whole crew was on, and it's a really long one, so check it out if you get a chance. You can help me and my fellow conspirators out through Patreon at www.patreon.com/comicconspiracy. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to Bryce Briefly's and Toby and Charlie's The Roundup. That's where they discuss TV that's not comic book related. To our Patreon backers, thank you. We do appreciate it. A New Year's resolution is you could share this channel as well as the Comic Conspiracy podcast with a friend and let them know, hey, there's this stuff out there you should check out. As always, please feel free to leave comments down in the comment section. I like seeing what you guys are getting, what you're picking up, what you're enjoying, so on and so forth. It's a great place to have a discussion. I try and get on there as much as possible to respond, so on and so forth. You can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @BrockSager. And so 2017 is here, and hopefully it's a good one. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.